The rain had started late in the afternoon, drumming steadily against the windshield as Emma drove down the narrow, winding road. Her wipers squeaked with each pass, struggling to keep up with the relentless downpour. Somewhere between the last town and the suffocating darkness of the forest, her GPS froze, and the battery on her phone gave out. Emma cursed under her breath, glancing nervously at the gas gauge, which was now hovering just above empty. Miles passed in silence, her car the only sound cutting through the storm. Trees lined either side of the road, their towering forms closing in like sentinels guarding a secret. Just as the engine began to sputter, Emma spotted at a house partially hidden by the forest, its shadowy silhouette illuminated for a split second by a flash of lightning. With no other options, she guided her car up the overgrown gravel driveway, the tires crunching against the stones. The house was an old two-story structure, its once white paint now faded and peeling. Its windows stared back at her like hollow eyes, and the porch sagged under the weight of years. Emma shivered as she stepped out into the rain, pulling her coat tightly around her. She could feel the chill of the storm seeping into her bones. For a moment, she considered staying in the car, but the thought of running out of gas and freezing overnight pushed her forward. The front door was slightly ajar, swaying gently in the wind. "Hello?" she called out, her voice swallowed by the thunder. She pushed the door open further and stepped inside. The air was thick with the scent of mildew and decay, and the faint sound of dripping water echoed through the empty space. Emma switched on her beam, cutting through the darkness to reveal a grand but decayed floor. A broken chandelier hung precariously above her, and a staircase with missing balusters led to the second floor. The wallpaper, once ornate, was now tattered and peeling, revealing the rotting wood beneath. She closed the door behind her, the sound echoing like a gunshot. "I just need to wait out the storm," she muttered to herself. Her voice felt out of place in the oppressive silence, as though speaking would summon something that should remain hidden. Exploring cautiously, Emma found what must have once been the living room. A tattered sofa sat in the center, surrounded by overturned chairs and a coffee table covered in dust. Above the fireplace hung a portrait of a family, a stern-looking man, a woman with sad eyes, and a young boy clutching a doll. Their faces seemed to watch her as she moved. She settled into the least damaged chair, pulling her coat tighter around her. The rain pounded against the windows, and the occasional flash of lightning lit the room in stark, eerie detail. Emma tried to distract herself by inspecting the room, her flashlight revealing odd details: a rusted candlestick, a doll with missing eyes, and a clock that had stopped at exactly midnight. A loud bang upstairs jolted her from her thoughts. Her heart leapt and she froze, listening intently. The house had been empty, hadn't it? She stood, gripping the flashlight tightly as she made her way to the staircase. Each step groaned under her weight, the sound mingling with the relentless storm outside. At the top of the stairs, the hallway stretched before her, lined with closed doors. One door at the end stood slightly ajar, and from within came the faintest sound of rhythmic tapping, like fingernails against wood. Emma's breath quickened as she approached, her flashlight trembling in her hand. Its glassy eyes seemed to follow her as she moved. A sudden crash from downstairs made her spin around, nearly dropping the flashlight. Panic gripped her as she hurried back down the hallway. The oppressive silence replaced by the sounds of heavy footsteps below. Her heart reached the top of the stairs. She saw a shadow moving in the floor. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice shaking. The shadow paused, then turned toward her. For a moment, she thought it was a man. She saw it wasn't a man at all. The figure was impossibly tall, its limbs as the lightning flashed, its head tilted at an unnatural angle. It started up the stairs, each step deliberate and slow. Emma turned and ran, the beam of her flashlight bouncing wildly. She found herself back in the toa room, slamming the door shut and locking it. Her heart pounded in her chest as she backed away, her eyes darting around the room for an escape. The tapping sound returned, louder this time, coming from behind her. She turned to see the doll, now sitting upright, its cracked lips twisted into a smile. The rocking horse began to sway on its own, creaking with each motion. Emma screamed, yanking the window open and climbing out onto the roof. The rain slicked the shingles beneath her feet as she scrambled toward the edge. Below, the forest stretched out like a sea of black, offering no comfort. She could hear the door to the toa room splintering behind her, and the figure's distorted form emerging into the night. Desperation overtook her, and she jumped, the ground rushing up to meet her. Pain shot through her leg as she landed, but she forced herself to stand. Pushing the door open with trembling fingers, she revealed a room filled with toes, old, broken, and covered in dust. In the center of the room sat a rocking horse, its paint chipped and faded. The tapping sound had stopped, replaced by a deafening silence. Her flashlight caught the glint of something in the corner, a porcelain doll, its face cracked and smeared with dirt. She limped toward the forest, the rain blinding her as she stumbled over roots and rocks. Behind her, she could hear the figure's uneven footsteps closing the distance. The last thing Emma saw before darkness claimed her was the faint glow of headlights in the distance, a car approaching on the lonely road.